Investing 101, my investing philosophy. Why do I think this is effective right now, not only for me, but for everyone else in the future? And I just want to share a couple of components for you to understand and why you should start investing right now, in my opinion. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't claim to be one. So watch this video at your own risk. What I can tell you is after this video, you'll be able to understand how do I invest, what do I think of as an investment, and how can you partake on this. So before we understand investing, I want to take out a couple of myths regarding investing, because this is what prevents most people from investing. Myths of investing could be the following: a certain percentage every month. And if you cannot do that, you can't do it. Or I just invest in what you know. That's another myth. Why do I say that's a myth? Because yes, of course, it's better and you're gonna have more luck, but eventually you can learn more stuff. You can get into courses, you can get acquainted before you actually learn stuff and start investing. And yeah, there will be investments that you fail. That's part of the investing game. Another one is no money for investments. It's super important to say bullshit to that because everyone has money for investments. Whether you can invest $1 or $1,000 or $1 million in investing, you have money for investing. The fact that you're watching this on a device that's probably more than $300 means that you have enough money for investing. So don't put any excuses, okay? So if you take out those belief systems because they are not currently working, then we can focus on what are two types of investments that I want to make. And of course, there are multiple ways and multiple types of investments in the world. However, I do want to emphasize that there are two types of investment strategies that will help you understand where you stand with your investments and what type of investments do you want to do. And we are going to divide into active and passive. Active and passive investments. What does this mean? We're not talking about passive income or active income. We're talking about which are the types of investments that you can set them and forget it, and which are the types of investments that you constantly have to activate more and put more effort in, but they will give probably the biggest returns. So when I talk about passive investments, we could start with something as simple as a life insurance. Why do I say this as a passive investment? Because this will benefit a couple of people. This will benefit your family. This will benefit your retirement, and this also makes you an asset. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago I got my life insurance, and even before I've made crazy amounts of money, I know right now that I would be able to provide for my family even if I'm not here. So it's a way of giving back to my family. It's a way of setting them up for success, because I know the power that I have of creation. So I know that if I also give them something when I'm gone, it's going to help them. So that's number one. I would really recommend it. Then number two, you have something like the S&P 500, which is trying to place your bets on the best winner, because year after year the market is going, there's always going to be economy. As long as there's trade and there's not a third world war, and even in the third world war, which I don't want it to come, there will be markets for something. We want to trade, we want to consume stuff and transact stuff. So that's always going to happen, and these are the best tried and true companies that will always shift and always change. However, you can bet on the winners every single time. And number three, we can talk about stores of value. So that would be gold or metals and Bitcoin. Why do I say Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin is like physical gold, but it's digital gold, and it's easier to carry, it's more portable, and it's a store of value. So it can help you against inflation. It can help you really preserve your wealth and accumulate it as inflation goes on, because there's more and more adoption, and it's a really good way to store value. Because you have to understand that the way of understanding value, this right now is a Bitcoin commercial, because the more people believe in the project of Bitcoin, the more Bitcoin will rise and will stay consistent as a store of value. So it's really powerful. Those again are passive investments, and it's the only cryptocurrency that I would consider as a passive investment, because the other ones you have to do extra research and actually understand the whole systems. I would say investigate a little bit more, because you have to understand why we don't put just savings here, because an investment is something that we always want it to grow. Your savings account or everything or your emergency fund is not an investment. It's just a place of money that you're letting inflation take away all its value. Okay? But we now will go into active investments, which are the ones that you actually have to put in the effort. Even though you know about them, you will always have to activate a little bit more. So the most important investment in your life that you're always going to do is nothing other than yourself, or the and me 500, as Alex Hormozi would share, because you are your greatest investment. All your experiences, all your education, all your travelings, everything that you do for yourself and for you to understand better the world, it's actually going to be an investment. Because right now, at this current moment in time, at 20 years old, I feel right now that my skill sets will allow me to live a good, comfortable life for the rest of my life. I'm still not at a skill set yet where I know that I can make millions of dollars, which I will eventually. But right now, it's super easy to me to trust myself and trust my ability to create opportunity for myself. And that is because I've invested heavily in myself. And the returns will always outperform any other market, any other thing. Maybe not financially, but in experience. And if you put a person with experience and a person with money, the person with experience will get the money and the person with money would get the experience. So super important. Number 2, second active investment. And again, this is active. You have to constantly be educating and evolving yourself. Like read more books or audiobooks, whatever you want to do, but to prepare yourself and understand the world in more and multiple ways. Number 2 is people. So people are the next way of your biggest asset, your net worth. Your network is your net worth, but it's also super important to understand that they will bring you more opportunities, they will teach you more stuff, and they will actually help you become a better person. And again, I have a team and I'm able to bring more income and more opportunities because I can organize my team effectively and make them work cohesively towards one specific goal. So the more you invest in people, the more you actually put the extra effort, give the gift, do those little things, will actually pan out in the future and make it a much more powerful and rewarding experience for you. So definitely invest in people. The third one is your business. Business or a personal project, something that will give you your ROI and you are able to control, because at the end of the day, work versus like a job versus a business, what happens is instead of having one client, which is your boss, you have multiple clients. So you have a higher leverage, you have to work more, you have to deliver more, you have more expectations, but in a way you are creating something that's more of an asset for you. Especially if you start to build an enterprise, it becomes your asset. That's why out of all the things, I've invested the most in people and in my business and in developing my business, because I know that this can exponentially grow and I can use the skills here to become a better self. I can use the assets here to bring more people. So it's a really powerful ROI intensive. And of course, it's not easy. It's simple to run it. You have to deliver good work and meet expectations consistently and exceed expectations consistently. And that's what you have in a business. So that's really, really powerful. Then you would have other investments. So others would be considered real estate and other business. It's an active investment because you have to do the research, but you also have to constantly manage it, even to a degree. Like if you have a house manager, you will have to manage the house manager. If you have other business, you have to hold the other people accountable. So you always have to activate some sort of machine and accountability so it actually grows, right? That's why, again, it's much harder to pick stocks and select the winners, because when you pick a stock just by itself, you're actually becoming an owner of a business. So if you are to be successful investing in stocks, you have to think of, okay, I'm going to now imagine that I'm running my business, but I cannot control anything that happens in my business. That's when you buy stock. Unless then when you buy other businesses that you can actually make an effort, that's called an acquisition and people can buy your business. But if you have your own business, you know how hard it is. Imagine trying to manage other things for other people, or not even being able to manage it, but just selecting and hoping for the best that they don't fuck up. So it's super, super important that you are really, really aware of how much do you invest in other business and when. And real estate, basically, if you're buying real estate to sell and flip, it's also a business. So you have to treat it like a business. You have to manage it like a business. It's not just as simple as buying the property and renting it. You have expenses, you have leaks. You have to make sure that your clients, which are the tenants, will have a really good experience. So those are active investments and passive investments. As you might know by now, the best investments come at the top. So this one would be the most important active investment and investment that you can do in your life. And the people, because at the end you need more people. Whether you have a business, whether you have workers, whether you just have a job, you have to invest in these two things for the rest of your life and make that a priority, because they can help you when the time comes. And then for this is for other people and for yourself. If you don't want to do so much work and so much risk, this is the most risk-free type of thing. These two are also risk-free, but they're still not as guaranteed as the first one. Okay, so that's it when it comes to the active investments, passive investments. But I do want to share two more bonus investments that I would definitely want you to consider. And with this, we're able to close this section. Hope you are subscribing. And again, when we're investing in a business, by the way, you can invest in marketing teams. And if you want to invest in a really good marketing team, please make sure that you book a call with us, because we want people to share their message to the world, similar to what I'm doing myself, and even in higher qualities. So make sure you book with us below, and we'll see you on the other side. Now, let's talk about the two things that had the two active investment. This is a passive investment, but also an active investment of things that have made my life really, really good, which are my partner and donations. Why do I say my partner as an investment? Because she will teach me basically how much can I give to the world? How much can I give? How much can I support? How can I become a true version of me that's generous, that's gentle, that brings more and brings the best of myself? So I need to develop myself. I need to constantly improve myself. I really want to give her the best life possible. And through that, what are the things that have happened? Better business, because if I'm a good leader in my relationship, I can be a better leader in my business, so it's gone up. My other relationships has me clear boundaries, and I can also ask for what I want, because if she's asking me for what she truly wants and I'm able to deliver, I feel in a way entitled to actually give and ask myself. I give myself back more and give to the world what I need, the ask and the request of what I truly need. So the partner is a reflection of how much self-love am I giving to myself. And that is a really powerful quote. I'm gonna say it again. The partner you chose equals to the level of self-love that you have for yourself. So if you see how your partner treats himself and herself, it's a direct reflection of what you are currently doing to yourself. So pay attention. And now, why the donations? Donations are super, super powerful because it's a matter of giving without expectations. It's giving to someone that might never be able to give it back to you. And that by itself is such a gift, because you understand that you're not here just to take all the things for the world. You're here to be a good shepherd of your resources and understand how can you make this world a better place. Because at the end of the day, you're coming and going. You'll be here for a while, but you will leave this place eventually, and you're not taking anything with you. So it's super important for you to really comprehend the value and the happiness that you will see and you will receive once you start giving. And you don't have to donate millions of dollars. You can start even with $1 per day to someone, or $1 per week, $1 a month. It doesn't really matter. Then you can raise it up as your income comes. But this is a tiny little powerful secret. The more donations I've given to the world, to the point where I'm now maybe at $250 a month or more in donations, my income has become higher because I crave to give more. The universe gives me back more, and it gives me opportunities to receive more. The reason why I've been able to be so successful is because I'm trying to give as much as possible as in comparison to what I'm receiving. Yes, I'm investing. I'm doing the active, I'm doing the passive investments. I'm automating my services, but it's really important, my donation. I'm automating my donations, I'm automating my investments, but it's super important that you take care of other people, because that's a really nice mission to have in life. And that's basically it. What I want to, again, a bonus of a bonus, is give you the exercise of, okay, this is beautiful, but again, I'm just making $1,000 a month and I can't pay all my rent and blah, 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 blah. I want to share a quick formula that you can use so you can become better at investing, which is just a matter of changing the order. So scenario one, which is what most people do, is they make money, then they take out the expenses, and and then they can invest. Scenario 2, which is the winning formula, is you make money, you invest, and then you have the expenses. Because what will happen to the person that was doing, again, $1,000 a month is you'll do $1,000 a month and you say, I need to pay $500 in rent, I need to pay my food, I need to pay all the things, and let's say it may be $800 in expenses, right? So ideally you would have $200 to invest. But the problem is that during the month you will have extra expenses because, again, there's shiny things in the advertising machine trying to get your money. So you will have minus, again, like $20 here, $30 here, $40 here, $5 here, $7 here, $1 here, and you end up with less actually than $200. You end up probably with around $100 or $250 max because you're not prioritizing the important thing. Versus if you actually make $1,000 and then you invest immediately those $200, you have the $800 for expenses and you don't have the ability to actually expend more in those little things. So you're not affected by this works. And of course, if you have an emergency, you might have to use this. But this is emergency proof, this is not emergency proof, and this is not investment proof. So I would recommend that you try to always prioritize your investment, because the first thing that you have to do and understand is when you're paying rent, when you're paying your food, when you're paying other things, you're giving back to the world, but not to you. The biggest lesson that even, I don't know if the Bible says it, but it talks about paying yourself first, because you can only give from a full cup, not an empty cup, because eventually you will resent people for it. So always invest in yourself first. Always put your money in your mouth and put in your mask first before you can give back to others. But at the same time, always give back to others. And that's it. Subscribe for more videos. Make sure that if you are a coach that wants to grow on social media, click on the bottom to book a call with us, and I'll see you on the next video.